People forget things. That's so BS.
He's preoccupied.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
Mr. Park,
I'm just going to go over each problem one by one again until we finish. And I'm going to collect this on Friday. I guess it'll be a good day.
Monday.
That's going to be 30 points.
Monday.
I'm trying to build you guys up a cushion because I'm telling you guys have
Well, let me
no
put plus C
idea.
in.
You don't have any idea.
Plus C, Mr. Park.
Because even though the very first quiz we're going to take, I'm going to give you like the easiest one, just find the area and volume, like if you revolve the product axis. That's like the easiest one. But
Volumes?
yeah.
Like
Okay, where did we leave off yesterday? We're on number 8.
Did you put plus C?
And when I correct your homework,
Oh, I forgot.
I don't want to just see answers now, because I gave you the answers. It has to be work. And just like multiple choice, we're going to have a lot of multiple choice tests for homework. If you think you're just going to just circle right before you come to class, think again.
Why?
Because there just got to be work.
What?
I want to see
Multiple
work.
choice. But it's a multiple choice?
Yeah, but this is a calculus test. You can't do all of that in your head. Okay, once in a while, maybe you can, but for like 99% of them, you have to do work.
What if you just guess though? Like you don't know, you just guess.
So that you can guess on everything? When you take, by the time we get to the AP exam, you should know how to do every single problem.
This would be super easy then, yeah.
It is not super easy. Don't think it's super easy, because it's not. You have to get used to the language in which they state the problem and things like that.
Yeah, but by then, shouldn't you be
Okay, now yesterday I showed you guys how to find dy dx, right? How do you find dy dx when it's difficult or impossible to solve for y?
See, like you're saying
You
it's
do
Australian.
implicit differentiation. So 6x times 1 plus 2 times, you gotta use the product rule here.
We did this.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't finish it. Did we do that?
How to answer?
Did we do that? I'm gonna divide by 2 now. And I'm just gonna write the answer because I did this yesterday. So dy dx equals, silence! Negative 3x minus y over x plus y. Did I do that correctly? Is that the same thing as yesterday? Okay, that's part A. No, we didn't even do part A. It says, write the equation of the tangent line at the point 3, 1. Now, in order to write the equation of a line, you need a point, which is given. Now you need the slope. How do you figure out the slope? Yeah, you use the derivative. The derivative tells you the slope. So since there's x's and y's in the derivative, you have to plug in both x and y. So you get negative 9 minus 1 over 3 plus 1, which is negative 10 over 4. Do I need to reduce that on the AP exam?
No.
No, but we're Iolani.
Wait, can you just leave it as the first one that you put?
Yeah, you can actually leave it like that if you want to. But like I said, we're Iolani. There's expectation. Y minus 1 equal negative 5 halves times x minus 3. So actually, if you wanted to just do this and put it there and be a weakling, you can and get full credit. You know what I mean? Because some of you are going to be shaking. Am I really confident that negative 9 minus 1 is negative 10? I don't know. Okay, B. At what points is there a horizontal tangent? Now, this graph, now you don't need to know what the graph looks like, but it's kind of like a tilted ellipse like this. I'm not sure which way it tilts. But we want to know at what point on the graph is there a horizontal tangent like that. What's the slope of a horizontal line? 0. Here's the derivative which tells you the slope. So if a fraction is equal to 0, what does that mean? The top is 0 or the bottom is 0? The top is 0. So if you write this down on your paper right here, that's 1 point. That's 1 out of 9 points just for writing that on your paper. Okay, now what do you do with this? How do I find the point on this graph where this is true? You solve the equation simultaneously. So solve for one letter in this equation, y equals negative 3x. Take this and plug it into the original equation. So you're going to have 3x squared plus 2xy plus y squared equals 24. So let's simplify this. 3x squared minus 6x squared plus 9x squared equals 24. So that's, what is that? 6x squared equal 24, x squared equal 4, x equal plus or minus 2. Don't forget the plus or minus now. Now we just found the x coordinates. 2 and negative 2. How do you find the y coordinate? Now where do I plug it in? You can either plug it into this one or the ugly one. No, plug it into this one. The y coordinate is simply negative 3 times the x coordinate. So multiply by the negative 3, multiply that by negative 3, box that, that's the answer. You don't remember doing this in the second quarter? Of course not. Okay, part C. At what points is there a vertical tangent? What's the slope of a vertical line? Undefined. So if this is the derivative, what will make this undefined? When the denominator is 0. So what you do is you make the denominator equal to 0. So even if you compute the derivative wrong on the AP exam, whatever your wrong answer is, if you make the denominator equal to 0, then you're going to get 1 point. And then if you show that you're going to plug it back into the original, you get another point. You got to build up points. You cannot just stop. So shall we solve for x or y?
X.
Wrong! No, it doesn't matter. I'd rather solve for y. It's up to you. And then you take this and plug it into the original. Ka-ching! Plus 2xy plus y squared equals 24. So you get 3x squared minus 2x squared plus x squared equal 24. So every time you make an algebra mistake or something, there's no such thing as minus 1/4 or minus half now. Every time there's arithmetic or algebra mistake, that's minus 1 now. So what is that going to be? 2x squared equals 24. X squared equals 12. X equals plus or minus root 12. Now, should I simplify that to 2 root 3 or just leave root 12? Just leave root 12. Do not play with fire. Okay?
Fire.
Of course, if you want to do 2 root 3, go right ahead. So these are the x coordinates. How do I figure out the y coordinates? Plug it into this. Y is the negative of the x coordinate. So whatever x is, the y is negative of that. So ga 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 and ga ga ga. They don't care how you write your answers. They don't care if there's radicals in the denominator. They don't care if it's not simplified. Just write the correct answer down. Okay, so implicit differentiation, Garens, Barons, this is going to be on the free response, one of the 6 problems right here. Come on.
Yes.
So you need to know. It's like some of you going, oh, okay, this one I don't need to know. Yes, you need to know this.
What do you mean? Be exactly like
It's
that?
on the video.
It's gonna be exactly like that?
Not exactly.
What?
Why? Like sometimes they put trig functions in here.
Yeah, but like the same concept?
Yeah, the same concept.
Like if you like say, oh, they want to find out.
And sometimes they combine it with other things too, you know. Because you know they have to like make a test that tests you on everything. It's like,
shoot them.
You're saying shoot Mrs. Goto then, because
No,
she's on the
not
committee.
really.
That makes the
Go
problem.
to the committee?
Yes.
Does she have the tests?
Oh.
Missions.
Number 9. In fact, in Iolani, there's a lot of teachers that are on the development committee.
Are you?
No,
How come?
I'm not high ranking, you know.
Mr. Park.
Like Colonel Rankin,
Right.
Mr. Bergoglio,
Rankin Chaz.
for AP English, he writes.
Mr.
Mrs. Goto. I think Dr. Hall used to be on for
Oh,
AP.
Doc Juan?
AP US History.
Dr. Hall?
Yeah,
I had Dr. Hall.
congratulations.
No.
And did you get a 5 on the AP exam?
No, I took her for regular US history.
Okay, can we do this? You guys are just experts at wasting time.
Is she seriously on the committee though?
Well, she used to be, because normally you're appointed for like so many years.
What happened? She's not on the committee.
You want to say that on the live video?
She's not on the committee now.
Because you're only on for like 4 years or something. Just like being a grader, you're only allowed to be a grader like 6 years. I was only 4.
You're falling for the trap, Mr. Park.
What?
Keep going.
Trap.
Okay, here we go. Okay, this, guaranteed this is gonna be one of the 6 problems right here. Particle moving on a number line, okay? A, find the initial velocity. Okay, here's the position. If you know the position, how do you find velocity? Take the derivative. Oh, that's 24 plus 36t minus 16. I want to see who's writing. Come on, this is review.
This is a review.
Like a stab in the back. Okay, here's the velocity. How do you find the initial velocity? What does the initial velocity mean? Well, the velocity when t is 0. So, what is v of 0? If I plug in 0, you get negative 16. Boom. Okay, b. Find the velocity of the particle each time the acceleration is 0. Well, if you know the velocity, how do you find acceleration? You take the derivative. And then look how nice it factors. See, if you're on the no calculator part, it's going to factor nicely.
Like that?
If you're on the non-calculator part, you're probably going to have to graph it on your calculator to figure out when it's 0. But luckily for you, this is no calculator. And look how beautiful this is. This is bringing tears to your eyes, I think. So here's the acceleration. When will the acceleration be 0? When t is, when will this equal 0? 1 or 3. But then it says, find the velocity at each of these times. So what you have to do is take each of these numbers and plug it into the velocity. So you need to compute v of 1 and v of 3. Can I trust you guys to plug in 1 and 3? You guys can do that, right? Yeah. C. For what values of t is the velocity decreasing? Okay, now it's important to know, because how do you determine if a function, any function, doesn't matter what it is, if a function is increasing or decreasing? What do you look at?
Derivative.
You look at its derivative. If the derivative is positive, that means the function was increasing. If the derivative is negative, that means the function is decreasing. So if I want to know when is the velocity decreasing, I need to know when its derivative is negative. So the derivative of velocity is acceleration, and I factored it right here. All you got to do is make a number line for it. So for part C, you make a number line for the acceleration, and you can just go A. Ooh! 1, 3, and how do I know it's plus minus plus? Yeah, because it's a parabola opening upward, so it's going to be above, below, above. So this is the derivative of velocity. When is it negative? Between 1 and 3, and that's your answer. So you can either write your answer like this, or you can put this. They don't really care how you write it. They just want to see the correct answer there. For what values of t is the speed increasing? Okay, now that's a whole nother story. Now, the speed increasing is the same thing as speeding up. How do you tell if a particle is speeding up or slowing down? What do I need to look at? You have to look at the velocity and the acceleration. This is all in your notes. You know that thing that has everything you need to know on the AP exam? Just look at it. Okay, so we need to make a number line for the velocity and the acceleration. So here's the velocity. We already have a number line for the acceleration. Here's the velocity. How the heck am I going to make a number line for that? You got to factor it, so take out a 4, and you get t cubed minus 6t squared plus 9t minus 4. And how do I factor when there's a cube?
The box
Synthetic division.
The box thing.
The box thing.
Dividing thing. The box thing.
Now, rarely is there a problem where you have to do synthetic division on the AP exam, because this is AB. But I've seen it before, but the last several years I haven't seen it. But we just need to cover all bases. Anyway, what number is going to work since we're AB? 1. 1, negative 5, negative 5, 4, 4, 0. Oh, it works! So that means you can factor this as t minus the number in the box, and then you look at these numbers, which stand for t squared minus 5t plus 4. Does that factor even more? Yes, that factors as t minus 1, t minus 4. So isn't that like t minus 1 squared times t minus 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I make the number line for that, for the velocity, notice that I labeled it. You have to label. Some of you don't label, you get in trouble for it. So how do I know it's going to be plus, minus, minus? How come it stays the same sign around 1? Even power, and that one's an odd power, so that's why it switches. Or like I said, if you don't know anything, just plug in a number here, plug in a number there, plug in. And then here's the acceleration. Let's line them up. 1 and 3, and so you got plus, minus, plus. So what I forgot the question again. When is the speed increasing, which means when is the particle speeding up? That means the velocity and acceleration have to have the same sign. So look at this number line. Where do the velocity and acceleration have the same sign?
1 and 3.
Between 1 and 3.
And 4 and forever.
And from 4 to infinity. And again, if you do not know what's the correct symbol to put there, what should you write?
Comma.
A comma.
What's the other symbol?
What do you mean?
Isn't there like another one?
The upside down U?
Yeah.
That means intersection, but it's not, it's union.
And or.
Yeah, so it's or.
Is intersection and?
Yes. But okay, this is, you don't need to know that. Just put a comma. Just put a comma and nobody will get hurt.
Ah.
Okay, next. Write an integral that represents the net displacement from 0 to 5. Okay, what integral represents the displacement of the particle? Now, can I just do this? The integral from 0 to 5 of the velocity dt. Can I just write that on my paper?
Yeah.
Yes, because v of t is written on your paper. As long as it's defined on your paper or in the problem, you can like substitute. You know what I mean? Isn't that better than writing out the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, F. Write an integral without absolute values that represents the total distance traveled from 0 to 5. Now, how do you find the total distance traveled? You integrate what? The absolute value of the velocity. I can't believe we don't know that. We just studied that. Okay, but it says without absolute value, so how do we take away the absolute value? Oh, you gotta know when the velocity is positive and negative. You gotta look at your number line. So from 0 to 1, the velocity is negative. From 1 to 4, it's negative, and then from 4 to infinity, it's positive. So how do I write this integral? Can I do this? The integral from 0 to 4 of the velocity dt, then you gotta negate it. How come? Because from 0 to 4 it's negative, which means the answer is gonna come out negative, so you gotta multiply it by -1 to make it positive. And then you do the integral from 4 to 5 of the velocity dt, right? Because from 4 on it's positive. So anytime you have to compute an integral with an absolute value, you got to determine whether it's positive or negative to make your limits of integration. Now, of course, if you have a calculator, you just math 9 the thing, right? Put the absolute value thing there. I can't believe it took that long to do it in one problem. We're in trouble! Are you guys doing some of these on your own?
Yes.
Yeah, those are the only two.
Okay. Oh, look at the next two things.
They didn't read.
Woo! No, we got optimization next.
Well, that's the easy one.
Okay, optimization. This is probably going to be in the multiple choice section. Once in a while, they put it in the pre-response. An open top box. Now, usually they'll give you a picture, but sometimes they don't.
Yes.
So they'll probably give you a picture that looks like that. Okay, we have an open top box with a square base. It is to have a volume of 4 cubic feet. Find the dimensions of the box that would require the least amount of material. So what do we want to maximize or minimize in this problem? The volume or the surface area?
Surface area.
The surface area. So what is the surface area of this box? It's an open top box. There's no top.
X2x.
X squared plus 4xy. But the problem is we have two variables here. We have to get rid of one of these variables. And that's why they give you this other information. The volume of the box is 4 cubic feet. So what can I write? What's the volume of this box? 4x squared y equals 4. So you can eliminate one of these variables by solving. So y equals 4 over x squared. Take that and plug it in there. Do you guys remember doing these problems? Optimization?
Yeah, these are okay.
Yeah, but then remember some of them you gotta use similar triangles.
Where does x squared y come from again?
Because it says the volume
Oh,
is
the
4.
volume.
The volume is 4. Okay, here's your function. Now it's only one variable, so how do I find the maximum or minimum of this function? You take the derivative and you make a number line. So let's take the derivative, which is 2x. And have we memorized this one yet? I guess not.
16 over 2.
Minus 16 over x squared. That's like x to the negative 1. Okay, now in order to make a number line for this, we need to make a least common denominator. So you're going to have 2x cubed minus 16. Factor out the 2. And look how beautiful that is. So when I make my number line, go. Woo, what do I put on the number line? What makes the top or the bottom 0? Okay, I'll do the bottom 0. What makes the top 0? 2, the cube root of 8. Come on, people. Plug in a number bigger than 2, like 3. Positive. Plug in 1. Negative. And then you really don't have to know that. How come? Why don't I have to know this?
Can't have negative.
Yeah, because in this problem, x cannot be negative, right? So what does this mean? The area is decreasing. The area is increasing. So there's a minimum here. So we say that x min is equal to 2. So that means if you want the surface area to be a minimum, x has to be 2. And then you answer the question. What's the question? Find the dimensions of the box. Well, it has to be 2 by 2 by
1.
How do you figure that out? Yeah, go right there. No. Y equals 4 over 2 squared, which is 1. So the answer is 2 by 2 by 1. So once you find your minimum, the value of x that gives you the minimum, you got to answer the question. Okay, last thing. I guess we're stopping at number 11, and then so tonight's homework is finished the rest. Why were you just doing everything for us, Mr. Park? Yeah, but this is just to help you. Are you going to go now?
Yeah, can I go?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Ultimately, people, you guys gotta do this on your own. Okay, related rates. This is probably another thing gone from your memory. So we have a rectangle. Here is the length of the rectangle. It's changing, so you have to label it with a variable. This is the width of the rectangle. It's changing, so you have to label it with a variable. Okay? The length of the rectangle is increasing at the rate of 3 inches per second. So what am I going to write on my paper?
L dot.
dl dt is equal to 3. Or if you want to, you can, instead of dl dt, you can write L dot. When you put the dot, that means you're taking the derivative with respect to time. The width is decreasing, dw dt, at a rate of 2 inches per second. So what is that? Negative 2. If it's decreasing, that means its derivative must be negative. At the moment, when the length is 4 and the width is 3, at that exact snapshot in time, how fast is the diagonal changing right there? What do you want to call the diagonal? What letter you want to use?
Z.
Okay.
Oh, D, yeah, D.
D for diagonal?
Yeah.
Okay. They'll
Yeah, I
probably
didn't
label the
suggest it.
picture for you.
Who suggested?
Okay, now, first, there's 3
Thanks,
steps.
yes.
Like, did you guys even look at the notes yet? What's the 3 steps for related rates?
Write an equation.
Write an equation,
Plug it
take the
in.
derivative with respect to
And
time,
plug in
and then
numbers.
plug in the numbers. Okay, now look at this picture. What equation
Pythagoras
relates these
theorem.
variables? D squared equals
Got you, Mr. Park.
L squared plus W squared. Now, do you want to solve for D? Or just leave it like
Wait.
this?
That's
Like
true.
it.
Okay, leave it. It doesn't matter. Okay, now take the derivative with respect to time. So think of each variable as box. What's the derivative of box squared? Is it just 2 box?
Times box.
No, times the derivative of box, which is dd dt, or you can put d dot, whatever.
DD dot.
2 box times the derivative of box. 2 box times the derivative
D
of
dot.
box. And of course, if you want to, you can divide by 2. Now in this problem, we're trying to find how fast is the diagonal changing. So which variable are we trying to find here?
D.
No.
D.
How fast
Dot.
is the diagonal
D dot.
change? Okay, D dot. Which means you have to know D, L, L dot, W, and W dot. Do we know all of these things?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we know almost all of them.
No, we do.
No, look. L is 4, L dot is 3, W is 3, and W dot is -2. We don't know what D is.
5.
Okay, yeah. But at the moment when this is 4 and this is 3, this will be 5. So therefore, D dot is equal to 12 minus 6 divided by 5, which is 6/5. And now, if this is a multiple choice, I'm sure you can pick out the answer, but if this is a free response problem, you have to put units. Now, some of you are still putting wrong units. Look, this stands for dd dt. How is the diagonal measured? If you were to measure a diagonal, what would it be? Inches. And then here's time. Seconds. Because I remember on the test right before we left for vacation, you're doing a length and you put in cubic units. You don't measure a length in cubic units. Okay, we got 1 more minute. How fast is the area changing? Of the what? The rectangle? Yeah. Okay, so first step, write an equation. The area of this rectangle is equal to?
LW.
Length times width. Second step, take the derivative with respect to time. A dot equals, gotta use product rule here, L dot W plus LW dot. And then just plug in the numbers. I think you can do that. And then part C, let's finish this. How fast is the angle formed by the diagonal and the length changing right there?
Ah.
Okay, now, remember what to do? What equation can you use? You can use cosine, sine, or tangent, it doesn't matter. You guys want to use tangent. So tangent theta equal opposite over adjacent. Now, do you want to take the derivative of this equation, or would you rather solve for theta and go theta equal tan inverse W over L?
That one.
Okay, take the derivative with respect to time. Theta dot equals tan inverse box. So 1 over 1 plus box squared times the derivative of box. But since it's a quotient, you gotta use the quotient rule. Low, d high, minus high, d low. All over denominator squared below, and then plug in the numbers. And what are the units gonna be for that? Radians per what?
Second.
There you go. Okay, so we gotta try to finish the rest of this tonight. That's hilarious. I think, I don't know if you can.
Where's, where's Holmes? Where's Jay?
13.
From Hydrate.
Yeah, G. Use this one.
Isn't that derivative and that's
And make a number.
What's it?
Yes, yes.
So why is that? 5. It's like,
Because-
I just motivate myself and tell myself,
Well,
no, I have a 3
we'll
now.
do that
I'm
tomorrow.
like,
So you gotta make your number line first. Make the number line.
hold on,
Because there should be 2 maximums, and then
Yeah.
you gotta figure out which one is bigger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.